The date is December 6, 1968. Inside a Japan Trust Bank branch located in Kokubunji, a city a few dozen miles west of Tokyo, the employees are wrapping up for the day. Spirits are high. Winter is bonus season for bank workers, and many look forward to heading home to their families with their pockets just that bit fuller than usual. The manager of the branch is one such man. He rifles through the last of his mail in his office, skimming over the usual correspondence, when he stumbles across a strange envelope addressed directly to him from an anonymous sender. The manager opens up the letter. What he reads sends shivers down his spine and makes his blood run cold. Somewhere in West Tokyo Prefecture, the young man who sent the letter holds his breath. He's just launched the first step of his master plan. If all goes well, he'd pull off the greatest heist in Japanese history. The manager of the branch can't believe his eyes. The note makes a simple demand: have a female employee of the branch deliver 3 million yen by 5 p.m. the following day at a marked location. If this demand wasn't met, the anonymous sender promised to destroy the manager's house with dynamite. The bank manager is understandably frightened by this threat, but rather than give in to the criminal's demands and pay the ransom, he turns instead to the authorities. Kokubunji police send 50 officers to monitor the drop-off location and keep watch on the manager's house. 5 p.m. comes and goes. Nothing happens. Thankfully, it seems the letter's sender was merely bluffing. What's truly perplexing is the letter itself. It's like something out of a cheap action movie. Half of the characters are pieced together from cut-out magazine letters, while the other half are handwritten. Typically, anonymous letters use magazine cutouts so the police can't trace their handwriting. Doing half and half seems to defeat the purpose of maintaining anonymity entirely. On top of that, the police are able to identify the sender's blood type by analyzing traces of saliva on the envelope's opening. Though the police still have no idea who sent the letter, they know that they're willing to threaten with violence to get what he wants, but that they also operate in an unconventional manner. Still, it seems like the whole thing was a hoax, so they wrap all investigations up and tell the Japan Trust Bank branch that it's all clear. The heads of the bank don't feel the same way. The threat has left them shaken, so they tell their employees to keep their eyes open in the future for anything suspicious. The air is tense over the following few days. Even though people are excited about receiving their end-of-year bonuses, many are on edge about a potential follow-up attack. Explosives are tricky after all. Terrorists can hide them in any place imaginable. Bankers aren't the only ones who receive bonuses in winter, however. The electronics manufacturer Toshiba, one of the largest and most famous Japanese companies of all time, has promised its employees substantial payments too. They ring up Japan Trust Bank on December 10th and ask them to send a massive sum worth 300 million yen to their factory downtown. Adjusted for inflation, this is around $7.2 million in today's money. Such big withdrawals are commonplace around this time of the year, and Japan Trust Bank has plenty of experience when it comes to making cash deliveries. The employees pile the bills into locked iron cases that are stashed in the trunk of a Nissan Cedric. Normally, 2 employees would drive to the factory to make the delivery. But given that the branch had just received an anonymous death threat only 4 days prior, the higher-ups decide to double the security and send 4 employees instead. The driver and passengers slip through the streets of Kokubunji, keeping their eyes peeled for any signs of danger. Suddenly, just outside the walls of Tokyo Fuchu Prison, a white motorcycle bearing the logo of the Tokyo Metropolitan Police cuts in front of the car. The officer signals for the employees to pull over. Naturally, they comply. The officer, a young man no older than 25, walks up to the car window. Though he's keeping his composure, the officer is clearly stressed. He tells the 4 employees the shocking news. 2 bombs have been detonated since their departure from the branch. One destroyed the bank manager's home, and the other blew up the bank branch itself. The employees reel in horror from the news. Not only had their boss's home just been bombed, potentially killing his family, but the workplace they'd called home for so many years had been destroyed. Were their colleagues safe? What would they do now? Who could be behind such a terrible act? The young officer calmed them down, insisting that there was no time for such questions. An even more troubling matter is on their hands. The attacker might have planted a bomb on the Nissan Cedric carrying the money itself. He gets down on all fours and begins searching underneath the underside of the vehicle for any devices. The bankers watch on, both anxious at the possibility of the bomb and devastated by the news. Only a few minutes after the police officer started his tinkering, one of the employees cries out in shock. He points to the smoke rising from the car. The other employees start to panic, and the officer underneath the car shouts that there's a bomb and orders them to flee. They don't need to be told twice. All 4 of the bankers turn and run. They hide behind one of the prison walls, shut their eyes, block their ears, and prepare for the worst. A few minutes pass. Nothing happens. When they look back around the corner, they see that the car carrying all the money has vanished, as has the officer. Only his police motorbike has been left behind. Obviously, he got in the car and drove it away so that nobody else would be caught in the bomb's explosion, says one of the employees. He's a true hero. It's a nice, if bittersweet explanation, and the others start to believe it. Then, one of the bankers notices something strange. He spots a lit flare in the middle of the road, letting out the same smoke that was pouring out from underneath the car into the air. On top of that, he notices that the white motorcycle the young man had been riding isn't a real police vehicle at all. It's no more than a standard civilian motorbike with a few replica logos taped to its sides and a megaphone strapped to the front. The employees are left dumbfounded. To their immense relief, they soon learned that the bank branch had not been destroyed and that their manager's home was safe and sound. Though happy to learn that everyone was okay, the whole matter only raises more questions. It slowly dawns on the employees, the Kokubunji branch, and the police that they've all been duped. That young officer had just made off with 300 million yen, and nobody had a clue where he'd run off to. The police immediately call out on their radios for all available units to set up roadblocks so they can stop all cars matching the description of the Nissan Cedric for inspection. At 10:20 a.m., they find the bank's company car, abandoned near a cemetery. The trunk is empty, so the police start searching every single vehicle passing through the area. It's a mammoth task, and in the end, they turn up nothing. The thief has slipped through their fingers. Blocking off all traffic in Tokyo Prefecture isn't exactly something that goes unnoticed. By the evening, every major newspaper puts out copies with bold headlines such as "Largest Heist in History" and "300 million stolen." The whole country learns of the breaking story. The pressure is on to solve the case as quickly as possible. The police, however, remain confident. Just as the thief had made a mistake by only writing half the ransom letter with magazine cutouts, he'd also left behind a large amount of evidence on the scene of the crime. In total, the police counted 120 separate pieces of evidence. They figured they'd have no trouble at all finding the culprit's identity and location. They'd soon discover just how wrong they truly were. Let's quickly recap what actually happened. On December 6th, the thief sent an anonymous ransom letter to the manager of the Kokubunji Japan Trust Bank branch. It's likely he knew the manager wouldn't give in to his demands, but the letter puts the entire branch on edge. With one simple letter, the thief has made all the bank employees fear for their safety. 4 days later, on December 10th, the branch began moving 300 million yen to the local Toshiba factory. The thief painted a motorbike white, fitted it with some fake logos, and donned an officer's uniform to give off the impression that he was part of the Metropolitan Tokyo Police. He even attached a megaphone stolen from a construction site in West Tokyo to further cement the illusion. The thief tracked down the car carrying the money and told the employees that 2 bombs had been detonated, causing them to panic. While searching the underside of the car, he lit a road flare to give off the impression that the car was about to explode. Then, once all the employees had fled for safety, he pulled himself out from under the car, hopped in the driver's seat, and sped away to a nearby cemetery. Once there, the thief took the metal boxes containing the bills out of the company car and placed them into a separate car he'd stolen before. He did the same thing again at another location, just to make sure the police would have no idea how to find him. The thief left behind quite a lot of evidence. First, as mentioned prior, there was the megaphone. The police found a scrap of newspaper on the bottom side of the speaker, likely glued there when the thief was painting his motorcycle and megaphone white. They managed to trace the newspaper's origins all the way back and found that it was only distributed in the western half of the Tokyo prefecture. The 4 employees also testified to the police and provided a description of the young man who'd posed as a police officer. He was around 165 to 170 centimeters tall, and between the ages of 18 and 25 years old. They also surmised that the young man had a familiar knowledge with both automobiles and the police force, being able to convincingly pose as an officer. The police began their search. The description included a lot of people living in the region, so there were thousands of suspects, but 3 stood out in particular. The first was a taxi driver from West Tokyo who matched the physical description of the thief. When someone leaked the man's name and details to the media, the police were forced to arrest him to save face. Interrogations led nowhere. The police couldn't get a confession out of the man, nor implicate him in any meaningful way. Sadly, the media revealed all of his personal details to the public. Even though the taxi driver was released from custody, he received so much hate and abuse from his fellow citizens that he took his own life. It was an embarrassing mistake for the police and the media, one that cost an innocent young man his life. They tracked down another suspect, this time a 19-year-old from West Tokyo. The teenage boy had been involved with a local biker gang and had extensive knowledge of motorcycles. His appearance matched the police's reconstruction, and another member of his gang had recently used a flare as part of a robbery. On top of all this, the gang had recently made plans to rob a car carrying money in a similar fashion to what the thief had done. Of all the leads the police had in that moment, this one was definitely the strongest. The young man had no alibi, had the skills needed to drive the motorcycle, had a clear motive, and best of all, his father was even a police officer. This means he not only could have taken parts of his uniform, but also would have learned how to behave as a member of the police from his father. Everything fit into place. The police rushed to make their move. When they knocked on the young man's door, however, tragedy had struck. The 19-year-old had ended his life by ingesting cyanide. After some more investigations, the police deemed him innocent and moved on. But there's more to this story. 2 cups were found in the boy's room, one containing traces of cyanide, the other nothing. When the forensic team analyzed the cup containing the cyanide, they found only the father's fingerprints. Some believe that rather than ending his life, the teenage boy was murdered by his police officer father to preserve his family's image. Was this the boy the authorities had spent so long looking for? The truth sadly died with him. Either way, the police continued their search. They pulled in more suspects for questioning, but none led to any conclusive findings. In 1975, 7 years after the crime had initially taken place on that cold December morning, the police finally closed the case. Whoever the thief was, got away scot-free. This story still grips the hearts and minds of true crime lovers everywhere. The thief's simple yet genius plan, the sheer volume of cash stolen, the fact that it was all done without any blood spilled at all, and the mastermind's identity remaining a mystery to this day, have made it one of the most well-studied heists in human history. In Japan, it's simply known as the 300 million yen robbery. No matter what you choose to call it, there's no denying that it's one of the most well-conceived and perfectly executed criminal plots of all time.